Chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
That was a fascinating answer.
Okay, you want to take off the hoodie?
No, I never take off the hoodie.
I know you don't. What's with that? There's a group of women in the...
No.
Girls?
Whoa.
All right.
Sorry.
Oh, really?
God, the inside of the hoodie, everybody. Take a moment. What is it? Making the
world more open and connected.
Oh, my God. It's like a secret
Cool.
cult. Look at that. Making the world open and connected. Stream graph platform, and this weird symbol in the middle that is probably for the Illuminati. Oh, 2010.
No, it's 2010.
Okay. Oh, no. I read Dan Brown on the...
You probably reconnected with an old pal, shared photos with your family, and gotten advice from your friends on what to buy and what to read. It's pretty likely you logged on today. Lately, the social networking site has been introducing new products, one after the next, with the goal, it seems, of turning the entire web into one big social network. So eventually, the internet will be Facebook. As if the company weren't surging enough.
Why do you think that Truman has never come close to discovering the true nature of his world until now?
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
Behave.
We want to psychologically figure out how to manipulate you as fast as possible and then give you back that dopamine hit. We did that brilliantly at Facebook. Instagram has done it. WhatsApp has done it. You know, Snapchat has done it. Twitter has done it.
Tell us that, I love that analogy you made on 60 Minutes about the slot machine.
Yep.
That the phone is really a slot machine, and every time people are checking, they want to get some sort of goose.
I mean, it's built into our brains of variable schedule rewards. So if you pull a lever and sometimes you get a reward and sometimes you don't, sometimes you get a reward like you're invited to the Bill Maher show, and sometimes you pull your lever and you get a newsletter on an email you want to throw away, it makes it addictive. And so everything about our phone accidentally becomes a slot machine because it could be a text message from someone you love or it could be nothing. But the more frequently it buzzes, the more it conditions us to check more. And so it's obviously leading to these kind of addictive problems that everybody feels.
Right.
If the thought process that went into building these applications, Facebook being the first of them to really understand it, that thought process was all about how do we consume as much of your time and conscious attention as possible. And that means that we need to sort of give you a little dopamine hit every once in a while because someone liked or commented on a photo or a post or whatever. And that's going to get you to contribute more content, and that's going to get you more likes and comments. I mean, it's a social validation feedback loop that it's like it's exactly the kind of thing that a hacker like myself would come up with, because you're exploiting a vulnerability in human psychology. And I think that the inventors, creators, and it's me, it's Mark, it's the Kevin Systerman at Instagram, it's all of these people, understood this consciously, and we did it anyway.
What are some examples of apps that people use on a pretty regular basis, and the ways that these companies are drawing this in?
Have you noticed, if you ever log into Twitter, as an example, so there's an extra delay that you don't know how long it's going to take. It's between 2 and 3 seconds, where the number of new notifications on Twitter you have. So why is that there? Well, it makes that into what's called a variable schedule reward. It's like a slot machine. So you're playing the slot machine, and there's a time delay, and in that time delay, your anticipation's building, and then you get to see how many notifications I get. And so you become more addicted to checking it again the next time.
That's your real point, is that these companies, and that's what I was saying in this essay a couple of weeks ago, is that companies, just like the tobacco companies, just like food companies, it's not enough that we just like the product. We have to be addicted to it, and that is something kind of evil.
Well, and the reason, though, that this we need you to use it as much as possible thing comes from is because of the attention economy. There's only so much attention.
The attention economy, right.
Because when information gets abundant, the only thing that's left is attention gets scarce, because there's only our lives to fit it inside of. So then it becomes hyper-competitive.
And the reason people are stupider, to your point, is because they don't read anymore. And the reason they don't read, there's no time. Because they're doing this bullshit.
Anyone who uses social media might admit it can be hard to tear yourself away. Now the former head of Facebook says that's exactly what the founders intended. And like the site he helped create, this morning, he has our attention.
The 38-year-old mogul admits he, along with other pioneers of social media, knew what they were doing.
We understood this consciously, and we did it anyway.
Facebook estimates its more than 2 billion users spend about 50 minutes per day on its apps, including Instagram and Messenger.
It literally changes your relationship with society, with each other.
While the medical community has yet to classify social media as addictive like alcohol or gambling, one recent study found that participants who appeared to use social media most compulsively showed changes in the part of the brain that controls impulse.
Turn it off. That's what I would say. It's hard for young people now because they're hooked. They're addicted. If you don't think you're addicted, and I'm talking about anyone, from the highest to the lowest, if you don't think you're addicted, then see if you can turn it off for a week. It got quiet in here, didn't it? Didn't it get real quiet? It's a tool, so we should use it. God has blessed us with free will. Now it's free will magnified, free will on steroids. You're free to go in any direction you want. It will allow you, and it's not the enemy. It's just it's just a reflection of our own free will. You know? And we all want to be liked. But now we want to be liked by 16 million. And will now some of us do anything to be liked. We used to do anything to be liked, but it was by the person in front of you. Now it's to be liked by 16 million people that you don't know. We have to ask ourselves, what is the long-term, if not the short-term effect of too much information?
People like to share. After all, we are social animals. But somehow the age of social media has got us sharing more and more, no matter how uninteresting it might be. Even though we know every post gives marketers more and more information about us. So, why do we do it? And could we stop ourselves even if we try?
We have created tools that are ripping apart the social fabric of how society works. That is truly where we are. And I would encourage all of you, as the future leaders of the world, to really internalize how important this is. If you feed the beast, that beast will destroy you. If you push back on it, we have a chance to control it and rein it in. And it is a point in time where people need to hard break from some of these tools and the things that you rely on. The short-term dopamine-driven feedback loops that we have created are destroying how society works. No civil discourse, no cooperation, misinformation, mistruth. And it's not an American problem. This is not about Russian ads. This is a global problem.
Today, wherever we go, we're inevitably surrounded by fellow citizens staring into their phones, as we usually are too.
So the goal is to keep us on our devices longer. Why?
For any company whose business model is advertising or engagement-based advertising, meaning they care about the amount of time someone spends on the product, they make more money the more time people spend. So the game becomes, how can I throw different persuasive techniques to get people to stay, to spend as long as possible, and to come back tomorrow?
Today we live in a world now where it is easy to confuse truth and popularity. And you can use money to amplify whatever you believe and get people to believe that what is popular is now truthful and what is not popular may not be truthful. And the reality is now I can take money and I can use that through all of these social media systems that exist to hundreds of millions of people, and I can convince all of Joe's friends and everybody like him of my opinion in very subtle and small ways. And he can do the same to me. We can do that about vaccines. We can do that about gay rights. We can do that about bathroom laws. We can do that about Roy Moore. And so I think the question we have to ask ourselves is, how do we live in a world where this is now possible?
So how do we prevent social media from not being a delivery system for fake news? Because Hillary Clinton was out talking about this week. She said the other side was using content that was just flat out false and delivering it in a very personalized way.
Yeah.
If you look at Facebook, the vast majority of the news items posted were fake. What do we do about this?
Well, I mean, so the thing is, there's this myth that technology is neutral, that it's up to us to choose how we use it. Therefore, these platforms are not responsible. It is not true. Because
not true.
Because
right.
These companies, not because they're evil, but they need to get as much attention as possible.
They're evil.
So if something that is sensational, something is sensational, they have to show you the sensational thing that gets more attention than if they showed you complex things that got less attention. They have to. And anybody who runs a website or knows this.
What all of these systems do, every single one, is it exploits our own natural tendencies in human beings to get and want feedback. And that feedback, chemically speaking, is the release of dopamine in your brain. And so what these feedback loops do, and they exist everywhere, in Call of Duty, in other video games, in social networking sites, they get you to react. And I think that if you get too desensitized and you need it over and over and over again, then you become actually detached from the world in which you live.
You become callous, you become crude.
And you live in front of your screen.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.